Hello there, Q.u.A.n.IQ here. I already pre-recorded this video, but I was editing it and it was falling asleep. It was so boring, so I'm re-recording it. Yeah. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into this dang thing. So after I split with my wife, I decided to stop feeling sorry for myself, basically, because when we had separated the first time, that's all I pretty much did. So I said, you know what, I'm done. I want to go out, explore, see what's out there. So I decided to dip my toes a little in online dating, and I downloaded, I think, just two apps. I think Tinder and POF, Plenty of Fish. That app, I swear. And Tinder, I felt, was more like dating, and I wasn't really looking to date. I had just got out of a marriage. I just wanted to get some, if you know what I mean. So I was sort of kind of talking to this guy on Tinder, but not really. And I think I deleted the app after 2 days because I was bored. Now, POF. As soon as I downloaded that, uploaded my profile, I was getting people sliding into my DMs like crazy. I'm talking, my phone was going off all the time. Some of these guys I gave my actual number to, so I had the app that was notifying me, and I had my regular DM, so my phone was just always going off. Some of the guys I was talking to was nice, but other ones were I don't know what I was expecting from that app. So I was okay. I didn't want to I had put there's this option where you can switch from male to female, what you want to go for. And I was if I get with a woman, I'm gonna get too emotionally attached, so men. And the one day I decided to meet up with a couple of them, and I met up with this one guy. He was so freaking boring. It was crazy. We ended up hanging out a couple times, and the first time I noticed he was extremely boring, so we only hung out for 2.5 seconds, and then he just wanted to keep hanging out. So I was oh, okay, but I didn't want to be alone with him because I didn't want to talk to him. So we hung out with my neighbor, and she called him Gilligan because she said he looked like some guy from Gilligan's Island or something. I don't know, I've never seen that show, so I don't know. Even when I looked up a picture, it didn't look like him, but whatever she wanted to imagine. And yeah, I felt bad because the one day he was trying to get with me, and I was you're not my type, because he was just so boring, and he wasn't good looking. So I was there's no point in even trying because his personality was and then on top of that, I wasn't attracted to him, so it wasn't gonna go anywhere, you know what I mean? So he asked me, he was why this, why that? Because I told him nothing's gonna happen, and he was why? And I was because. And he's why? And I'm you're not my type. And he's how do you know? And I'm I know my type. What are you what are you on? What are you talking about? What? But yeah, every now and then he messaged me on Facebook because I gave him my Facebook because I didn't want him to have my number. And he still hits me up like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, not hanging out with you. Like, bye. Bye, Gilligan. Like, hilarious. Now, the first day that I hung out with him, I had set up a date with another guy. And once that guy got there, I was like, oh, okay, bye, Gilligan, you gotta go. And I went to hang out with the other guy. It was so freaking hot that day. I remember I was melting. It was like the middle of the summer, and I was like, So the guy comes and picks me up. I can't remember his name. Probably because we only had the one date, but he came and picked me up. And I remember he lived like a little bit away from me, like half an hour or something like that. And we, he's like, oh, what is there fun to do in Scranton? And I'm like, nothing. There's absolutely nothing to do in Scranton, like, at all. What do you mean? So he was like, oh, why don't we go to the mall? And I'm like, well, we have like 3 malls. There's the terrible one that nobody goes to, the medium okay one that's all right, and then like the other one that's like a couple towns over, which is like way better than the other 2 malls combined. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I don't care where we go, let's just go here. And I'm like, all right. So I took him to like the medium okay mall, and he wanted to like look at sneakers or something. And he looked, we walked around the mall. It was boring, like I told him. And then we went to get back in his car, which he had the AC blasting, bless his heart. Ooh, yes, child. It was so hot that day. He's like, what do you want to do now? And I'm like, I don't know. So we went to go to Rita's. Do you have a Rita's where you're at? The ice cream place? I love Rita's. My God. They have this Fruity Pebble milkshake. That's just life. But yeah, we went to Rita's. And then he's like, oh, what do you want to do now? And we started like driving around. It wasn't even Scranton. It's like the town next to Scranton, which is Dixon City. And I'm like, well, did you want to go look at the other sneaker place at the other mall or whatever? And he's like, sure. So we drove a little out of the way to get to this other mall. And we got there. We went inside like all the stores. Like, why not? We had nothing else to do. And yeah, he got to look at his sneakers. I completely forgot that when we were at the mall, we went to like a little Auntie Anne stand, and this guy came up behind us and started asking if he can use our IDs so he can like sell this phone inside of one of those little phone box thingies that you sell your phone in. And it was completely sketch and completely weird. And yeah, it's like Beauty and the Beast thing. Like mine said Beauty and his said Beast or something like that. And we made plans for the date to wear our matching shirts. I was so excited. And then he went to drop me off home, and he got out his car to like walk me to the door like a gentleman. Actually, I thought he was walking me to the door. Really, he just wanted to make out. So we made out for like 5 minutes, and then he left. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we were like texting all the time. He called me, and then he had told me he had something to do with his car, like to get it fixed or something, get something done with his car that Saturday morning. So we were gonna go like in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the Saturday comes, and he like totally flaked on me. I was like, oh, I got a shirt out of it, so okay. But yeah. And then I met up with another guy from this dang app. He was like close to me. He was like down the block from my best friend at the time, so I knew where he lived. and he wanted to Netflix and chill, and I was like, okay, that's what I'm on this app for anyway, so why not, right? So I went over to his house, and it was like, from the outside it looked big, so I was like, oh, okay. And when I went in, pool table immediately. I was like, oh my god, yes. So he like took me to the living room, and then we just sat down, and he didn't even like talk to me. There was some movie or TV show on or something, and from the way he was talking, and there were like flags up of like some foreign place, I could tell he was from like somewhere like, the first place that comes in mind is Czechoslovakia, but I don't think I've ever known anybody from there, so I wouldn't know what their accents sound like. So yeah. But he was like from somewhere like over there, and like I said, he like didn't talk to me. He just sat there on his phone. So I was like, oh, okay, did I like come over here for no reason? And then out of nowhere he just started making out with me, and I was like, oh, okay, that escalated. And then we like went up to his room or whatever, and when I was explaining this to my roommate, she was like, oh, you guys did it like 3 times. And I'm like, I mean, he did, but like, I didn't. If you know what I mean. So it was the weirdest experience I've ever had, like ever. We started doing it, and it was like 2 seconds, and then he like left the room, and I was like, oh, okay, is that it? And then he came back, and then round 2, same thing. And then I was like, oh, stop leaving the room, like, where are you going, like, what are you doing? And then a 3rd time he like did it again, and then left, and I was like, I can't do this anymore, like, it's getting late, I should probably go home. So I like put on my clothes, and when he came back, I was like, hey, do you have a bathroom? And he was like, yeah, it's across the hall. And I was like, oh, okay. I went in his bathroom, oh my god, it was huge. It was like the size of my room at home, and I was like, damn, I could move in here. Like, so I like peed or whatever, and then when I left the bathroom, he had like went downstairs, so I like went downstairs, and I was like, oh my god, your bathroom's huge. And he was like, oh yeah. And then we like sat on the couch for like 5 minutes, where again he didn't talk to me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And he's like, okay, and walked me to the door, and was like, okay. So I like walked home. By the time I got home, it was like 12:30, a.m., late night hours. And yeah, I was like, never again. He like hit me up sometime after that to do it again, and I just never answered him, because that was like a weird experience for me, and I just couldn't. Hi, I know everything's like different, angle, lighting, whatever, but while I was editing this, I realized I completely forgot about this other freaking guy who I met through the app, and I told him come over, we hung out, and then he like wasn't my type at all. So after that one time of hanging out, I was like, oh, okay, and we made plans to hang out like the next day or something, but I was gonna ditch him, so I didn't answer his messages. Let me say this now, just because you know where somebody lives, don't just pop up. Like, if they're not answering you, don't come. I don't understand. Like, what the heck? So I was arguing with my ex in her car at the time, and he just freaking pulled up, and I'm like crying, because that's what she makes me do. And I had to get out of her car, and she's like, oh, do you want me to say something? I'm like, no, like, don't make a big deal out of it. So I like got out of her car and I went to go talk to him. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, you told me to come. And I'm like, but that was yesterday, and I didn't text you all day. Like, we weren't texting all day, and I don't understand. Like, you can't just pop up to my house. And he's like, oh, my bad. Oh, okay. And he like left. And then he was mad at me that I told him that he had to leave my house. Like, you were invited the previous day, but that day you weren't freaking invited. Like, you can't just come to my house. Like, serial killer vibes. Seriously. And then I like talked to him, and I was like, my ex was there. Like, you can't just freaking pop up. Like, I wasn't in the mood for it. Like, it was like upset. And he was like, oh, is that who that was? And yeah, I saw you were upset, and oh, I'm so sorry, blah, whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he like wanted to hang out again, and I was like, sure, whatever. Cause he was like really funny, even though he like wasn't like my type. Like, I don't know, he just didn't, I don't know, he just wasn't my type. Like, which is crazy because you would think I wouldn't have a type. Well, I sort of kind of don't. Just like, I like whoever I want to like, and that's just what I tell people, that they're not my type when I don't want to like you because I don't have to. And yeah, so he like, we made plans for like another day to hang out. He came over, and I told my neighbor, please, let's hang out at her house, because I don't want to be alone with him, because I know he's just gonna try to be all over me, and I don't know how to let someone down gently without being like a total biatch about it. So she was like, yeah, sure, you guys can hang out over here. So we were like hanging out at her house, and then I had to grab something from my house, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll be back. And he was like, oh, I'll come with you. And I'm like, sure, whatever. And he like came with me, and I was grabbing something like my laptop or a movie or something so we can watch it. And he was like, oh, why don't we just stay here? And I'm like, because I already told her we're coming back. Like, we're expecting this. And he's like, oh, you just don't want to stay here? Well, don't want to be alone with me? And I was like, haha, no. Like, and then yeah, after that I just completely ditched him. So yeah, that was it. And then I think I had the app for like a couple of weeks, and then I was so tired of responding to people and my phone going off, so I deleted it. But then I re-uploaded it a little while after that, and then I met this guy, so I deleted it again. And then I just never got it again, because I was like, I'm good, like, really. But yeah, my experience was kind of okay. Which, the first guy I shouldn't invite into my house, because he could have been like a serial killer. Second guy just like hopped into his car like willingly. He could have murdered me. Like, those were the things that were like going through my head. The third guy, if I went to his house, he could have been a serial killer too, you know? Like, all three of these scenarios, like, I could have been murdered. So I was like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it again. So I just never did it again. But I'm good now, so work it out. But yeah, that was it. So that was it. So until next time, bye.